What if the move that finally fixes our fourth quarter wobble isn't a shiny new star, but the uncomfortable decision to let go of a good player we like? What if the cleanest way to protect winning time is to stop trying to be two teams at once Powerball and motion poetry and just pick a lane? And what if the fastest route to a smarter nine-man rotation is the one most of us swore we didn't want to take? I'm going to lay this out without fluff. I'll explain what changed inside the building, what the numbers on the whiteboard actually mean for the cap in the rotation, how the coaching staff wants to balance pace with shot quality, and why the calendar not Twitter forced the front office to narrow the decision tree. If you're here for clarity over chaos, you're in the right place. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report. Drop a like and subscribe so this hits every Laker fan who wants real talk, not rumor fog. Let's start with the basketball, not the back page. Our identity has argued with itself since last spring. On good nights, the offense hums. Early actions to bend the shell, split cuts to punish ball watching, second side attacks that hit the paint with purpose. On shaky nights, we live in the mud, late clock isolations, defensive glass leaks that steal possessions, and an endless tug-of-war between play fast and play right. That tug-of-war is why you felt like we were always one decision away, either from a 10-2 run or from a turnover that flipped momentum. Now, magnify that by roster math. In the second apron world, every dollar has a job description. Mid-teen salaries are either rotation glue or trade bridges. Rookie scale guys are either plus value or development minutes. You can't afford when the goal is to win in April, and your star's agent or in their prime decide the tempo of your decisions. That's not cynicism. That's the CBA. You choose a timeline, then you build a team that can execute that timeline's details against elite defenses. This is where Rui Hachimura sits in the conversation. I'm going to be fair to the player and honest with the fan base. Rui is real NBA offense. He's a mid-post bully who can face up, jab, and hit a clean 14-footer without rushing. He screens with a wide base. He's learned to cut behind ball-watching helpers. His release is calm. When he gets two toes in the paint, he's efficient, and he doesn't hunt noise. There's a reason coaches trust him to finish actions, not just watch them. But roles aren't made in a vacuum. They're made in a five-man puzzle. At the three, Rui's strengths get pulled away from the rim and into foot speed cross exams on the perimeter. At the four, he can bruise in space and punish switches, but then the lineup needs a plus rebounder and a true rim protector next to him, or you start leaking the exact possessions that lose playoff games, second chance points, and corner three, kickouts after collapse help. That's the knife edge the staff has battled. When the offense needs his calm, the defense occasionally pays attacks and coverage flexibility, and on the glass so the coaching staff did the adult thing. They built two maps. Map A, keep Rui in tilt. The scheme to protect the weaknesses while amplifying his scoring reliability. That means more cross screens to get him touches at the nail, more snug pick and rolls that force a switch he can punish, more lift actions to open a strong hand drive, and more veer in transition to put a small on his back. It also means carefully pairing him with a true vertical rim deterrent so the weak side doesn't live in rotation hell. Map B uses contract slot to rebalance the rotation. Add a switchable point of attack wing who rebounds his position and a floor spacer who doesn't need touches to bend help. Plus pick flexibility for the next window. Both maps are logical. The question isn't, is Rui good? The question is, which version of the Lakers can survive the playoff math test? Because in May, the exam looks the same. Can you guard without overhelping, end possessions on the glass, get too clean? Looks per trip even when the whistle freezes, and avoid needing your best play to be your emergency plan every time the clock dips under 8. That's where the decision hardened. I want to put respect on Rui's arc before I pivot. He's older man calm in a young forward's body. He doesn't flinch when defenders crowd his airspace. And when the game slows down, there's value in a 6 feet 8 inches scorer who can get a high percentage shot without hijacking the flow. This is exactly why the next part is hard to say and harder to hear. Sometimes, good is not the same as right fit now. Here's the pressure the calendar applied. The front office looked at how many playoff-viable lineups we trust for 6 minutes when scouting reports get mean. They looked at how often we needed a guard to win a tough closeout instead of the action generating a great shot by itself. They looked at how many possessions we surrendered just on long rebounds and broken floor, sequences after a miss because the low man was a step late. Then they looked at the cap table and realized improvement by addition is blocked unless improvement by consolidation happens first. Now the part you've been waiting for, the line that changes the rest of this season's script. Breathe in. The scenario on the table sends Rui Hachimura out of Los Angeles. Not as punishment, not as a scapegoat. As a choice that admits what the playoff version of this team needs most. A defensive wing who can sit on the other team's first action. Without a double, a spacer who drags a defender out of the lane so drives aren't greeting a crowd, and one more rebound first body who ends possessions so we can play offense with a clean slate. That three-piece ambition POA defense, spacing, and glass is the backbone of the work the front office has modeled. If you're asking, why now? Because waiting costs options. Once you're deep into the season, the league knows your pain points and prices you accordingly. Right now, before the standings harden, the return can still be shaped by archetype instead of panic. That's smarter business, and it's quieter for the locker room. You pick roles, not names. A wing who takes the primary perimeter assignment. Without help. A front court partner who screens, rebounds, and finishes without touches. A shooter who moves without the ball and punishes nail helpers with quick, automatic feet-set threes. Those roles make Stars lives simple. Simple as how you travel in June. Let's walk through what this does to the rotation in real minutes you can feel. Opening groups tilt towards spacing and defensive rules. That means fewer possessions where the low man is late because he doesn't trust the closeout behind him. It means your best player can live in second side actions without the defense packing a body at the nail. It means empty corner pick and roll actually creates a decision at the rim instead of a three-man party waiting on the restricted arc. Your second unit stops being a vibe check and becomes an identity. One small who can get 2 feet in the paint against second units. One big who screens with violent angles and rebounds outside his area. 2 movers who sprint to spots and trigger weak side actions without being asked. There's a coaching dividend too. You can shrink the playbook and deepen it at the same time. With more reliable shooting gravity, you don't need 5 new sets. You need 3 excellent triggers with layers. Think elbow delay in the split with an automatic 45 cut available if the top lock comes. Think slot DHO that turns into a short roll with a built-in corner shake. Think Spain pick and roll called only when the personnel on the floor can execute it without telegraphing. The fewer hope possessions you play, the more your best. Players' legs are there when you ask them to be superheroes for 3 minutes. What about the defense? This is where the right return makes the move sing. Add a true point of attack defender, and you stop the dominoes before they fall. Now your backline isn't living on emergency contest to the corner. Now you can actually stash a helper near the lane without gifting standstill threes. Now you can show and recover instead of hard double and pray. And when a lineup bleeds a little on the glass, you've got a rebound first body to plug the leak without punting spacing. I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking it too. What if Rui pops as a 20-a-night scorer the second he gets a front office that feeds him 15 shots? That's a real risk, and it's the tax on every grown-up trade. But the goal cannot be to avoid regret. The goal has to be to build the highest number of playoff trust lineups around our core right now. If Rui becomes the best version of himself somewhere that can live with his defensive trade-offs because they're not trying to win 4 rounds this season, that's a win for him. Our win is different. Minutes. That makes sense on a Tuesday in Denver and a Friday in Phoenix. There's also a culture message here that I don't want to bury. Moving a popular, productive player is the opposite of front office cowardice. It tells the room, Jobs are about fit and winning outcomes, not comfort. It tells the youth, if your growth serves playoff possessions, you play. If it needs a different context, we'll find it. It tells the stars, we're not asking you to carry chaos. We're reducing chaos so your greatness shows up cleaner. Later, with less fuel burn, let me paint the post-move picture I expect you to feel in the first week. The first 15 plays become ruthless. 2 quick hitters to force a coverage tell. A set to get your best downhill guard a paint touch with a clean kickout if help appears. And an ATO that's designed for a corner 3 you've repped 100 times. End of quarters gets cleaner because you aren't toggling between 2 identities, you're living in one. Pace to force disadvantages, then precision to cash them in. Fewer head-scratching turnovers. More 2-for-1s that actually cut the clock the way you want. And a measurable drop in second chance points allowed, which is where playoff games quietly swing. Now, the costs. You lose a face-up scoring valve who can calm an ugly possession without needing a ball screen. You lose a physically imposing wing who punishes smalls on switches. You lose a piece of the locker room that keeps the noise low. Those are not small. You pay them only if the return gives you a sum that wins 4 more possessions per night. 2 on the glass, 1 at the line. 1 from a shooter who punishes the help one beat sooner than your current guys do. There's a path not taken here. And out of respect for Rui, I want to show it before I stamp this. The Lakers could keep him and lean into bully ball with a defensive anchor beside him. More horn sets that force switches, more shallow cuts that clear the block, more angle screens to let him pick on weak hips. That version is fun, physical, and it would win plenty of regular season nights. The honest question is whether it holds up against top 5 defenses when they ice every side pick and roll, sit 2 at the nail, and dare you to make 4 perfect passes before the buzzer. The staff doesn't believe that's the best path for this core. That's what this move says out loud. So here's my concise read of the headline, and I'll own it. The Lakers are prepared to move on from Rui Hachimura not because he failed, but because the roster needs to trade good scorer who wants touches for defender who steals touches from the other team, rebounder who ends possessions, and shooter who makes your stars reads faster. It's the front office choosing combinations over hope, edges over aesthetics, and playoff math over regular season comfort. Before I close, I want your voice in the comments right now. If this is the path, which archetype tops your board point of attack wing who can guard 1s and 2s, or a 4/5 rebound and finish big who screens like a truck? Do you prefer a cleaner 5-out map that spreads the floor for our primary creators, or a heavier bruising map that resets our identity around physicality? And who's your closing 5 on most nights after the moves spell it out and tell me why? I'll pull your sharpest lineups into the next show. Final analysis. The main news is straightforward. LA is set to move Rui Hachimura to rebalance the rotation toward defense, spacing, and the glass. In exchange, the Lakers chase more playoff-ready combinations, fewer emergency possessions, and a cleaner runway for the stars who decide series. If you want updates, fast, and breakdowns built for smart fans, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, turn on notifications, and stay with me. The next month will tell us if the front office chose courage over comfort.